11 o'clock. Oh my gosh, Wednesday, Pacific time. It is roadblock removal for coaches and speakers. And today we have a very fantastic opportunity because one of the biggest problems that people do is that I can help everybody with everything. And what we want to talk about today is niching down and getting it in the right area, because the more you niche down, the more you work. And I have an absolute fabulous guest here today. She's sitting in the back room, in the green room. She's nibbling on a Dove bar, kind of soaking her feet in the hot tub, ready to come out here and join us. And let's welcome her. Let's welcome Chery Thacker. Hi, Cheryl.
Hello. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. If anybody would like to come in and join us and talk to us today, it's joinraylive.com. It's right down there right now. And I just mentioned a little bit about niching, and I know that is something that everybody, when they start out, pretty much messes up, don't you think?
Yes, I do think. I think it's a big problem for new coaches and entrepreneurs.
And what do you think the number one thing that they get hung up on?
That they think they are going to miss out if they get too specific about who they want to work with. So they feel like, they need to get clients in the beginning, and if they niche down, then they'll miss out opportunity and miss out on on revenue and being able to help people.
If I eliminate some people from working with me, then they won't come to me. Well, guess what? It's the exact opposite. The more you niche down, the more people want to work with you. And Absolutely. It's almost like the person that is disinterested in you. Why, I don't know if we really should go out. Really? No, come on, please. It becomes more and more attractive with it. And if you work with, let's say you work with just authors, you say, well, do you work with radio hosts too? Sure. Why not come in? You can always bring people in outside of your niche, but it's hard to attract when people don't know what you do.
That's right. When you're talking broadly, when you're talking to everybody, and this is a common saying, you're talking to nobody, right? Nobody's going to hear you through all the noise. And it's just like if you're having a conversation in a crowded room and you're speaking to the person beside you, that person's listening to, or can hear anyway, a lot of things going on around them. So who are they going to pay attention the most to? The one that's really speaking directly to them. And that's kind of the analogy I use, is they're going to pay attention to that person that's speaking directly to them so they can hear them through the noise of the room. And it's the same for niching down for your audience.
I call that Hey Jim marketing. I live near San Francisco, and if you go onto a street corner in San Francisco and you just start screaming at the top of your lungs and yelling things out at people, nobody pays attention to you. It's like, that's like a Tuesday there. But if I got in a soapbox and said, "Hey Jim," and started screaming, everybody named Jim turns and looks at you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's kind of like one of my mentors, a guy named David Newman from Do It Marketing. He talks about the Chinese menu and Chinese food menu. And I go into a Chinese restaurant and there's 87 million things on there, but there's one thing I like, and I know I like it. So I'm afraid that if I try something else, I won't be as good as that. But you don't want to get lost on that menu with everybody else on there.
Yeah, because like you said, you look at, Chinese, that's a perfect analogy, by the way. But yeah, there's so much stuff on there, right? On a Chinese food menu. Yeah. And if you don't know what you like, maybe reading through the whole thing would be helpful, but to me, it would be overwhelming.
Yeah.
Right. But if you do know what you like, you can at least pick out the things that you like off there and decide from there.
Well, and there was one restaurant I went to, and it actually had ants on a tree was the name of the dish. And I'm like going, and they're all named like that. I'm going, huh? Happy friends, 5 friends. And I'm like, pot stickers, please. Because you go with what you understand. And also make comments today if you see this afterward and restreams on that, and you have some questions for Cheryl and I, put them in there. I'll make sure she gets them, and I'll answer them to you. There's a friend of the show that always comes in. He's a Special Olympian out in Ireland and asked me how I am. He's got several gold medals, and so he's a friend of the show. So just want to say hi to Chris out there. All right. So Cheryl, tell people what you do.
So I am multi-talented and multi-passionate, but I have a focus on helping people that want to become coaches, get certification, and then to launch their business and start their businesses. So originally I was a business coach for, over 11, 12 years. And I was also training director at a coaching school because I loved coaching so much and loved the certification process and the skill development and the emotional intelligence side of it. So I gave back to the school that I got my certification in. And then this year decided to actually create my own program, which is coaching with emotional intelligence. But I still want to, I still have the passion for helping new coaches and entrepreneurs to get started in business. So what I did was I combined them. And so I help those that want to be, a coach, learn the coaching skills and emotional intelligence skills to get certification, and then also helping them to build those businesses and other entrepreneurs to build their businesses.
Very cool. Now we're both members of the Coaching Jungle VIP group, and Mark Mawhinney has kind of given us a thumbs up. Ann Carden is telling us great work out there. So it's good to have y'all looking and asking questions. So keep those coming. If someone, because I deal a lot with speakers and speaker coaches and entrepreneurs in general, solopreneurs. If there was somebody that was thinking, hey, I want to get started, what would be the first thing you'd tell them to do?
Get started as a coach?
Yeah.
Research. The first step is research. The thing is I believe that if you want to get into coaching, that you should have a fairly good idea of why. Your why is going to drive who you're going to help, right? It's going to drive what kind of, do you need the certification? Because not everybody needs or wants certification. I believe in certification, but that's not true for everybody. So if you do your research and say you want to help executives, whatever, prevent burnout, you're an executive, you've burned out, you worked through that and you want to help somebody else do that. Well, certification is probably going to be a good direction for you, because to be an executive coach, a lot of times with companies and executives, they're looking for that certification and even credentialing, which is the next step. If you are a cancer coach, if you are somebody that went through cancer and you want to help other people to navigate the treatment and the mindset and the energy that you need afterwards, then you might not need that certification, but you definitely need to learn how to get started in business, learn how to help other people. So it's really initially it's like looking at, what are my skills? What training have I had? What's my experience? And then what's out there? What do I have to do? What's the research that I need to do to find out how I'm going to get started? That's where I tell people to start.
And there's the great thing about business is there's no one size fits all for anybody.
That's right.
And some people, the certification is tremendously helpful for. Myself, I never, ever went through a certification, but I went through life. And I wound up I did stand-up comedy for 15 years, wrote a little bit for the Tonight Show. I also was a sales manager and was very successful as sales manager. And I realized that what I was doing was combining the two. And the ability to connect and hold an audience and create interest with people was something I taught my sales guys. So there was no school for that, but yeah, there was going into Rock Springs, Wyoming at 9:55 at night and talking the pool cues out of bikers playing pool for $100 a game and have them to like watching me and doing that,
Right.
And that's a process. Now we got Gary McKenzie out there that says that is so true. Speakers fear losing out by being too narrow. However, my experience, like yours, is that you should be specific about who you help and message. Absolutely. Thank you, Gary. If somebody were to want to get a hold of Cheryl, let me just put that up right there. It is successfulcoaches.com. And let's talk more about what's your favorite thing to talk about with new coaches?
their why and their story. That's my favorite thing, because it's what's going to distinguish you from everybody else out there. Everybody has their own their own story, but their whys are what drives. It's what drives us in anything, but especially in business. It's hard for entrepreneurs. We have to be, in the beginning anyway, everything, right? We have to be the coach, but we have to market. We have to, we have to get to know people. We have to be salespeople. We have to be a little bit techie. There's all these things that we have to learn. So it's really important for you to know your why, because your why is going to take you through those hurdles and help you keep motivated to keep going. Because there's times where you just want to go, throw up your hands and you're done.
Yep.
So it's your why that's going to get you through that. And your story is part of your why. And that story is what you put out there in the world and what distinguishes you from everybody else that's in the market.
And a couple of my favorite phrases is that rejection is just redirection.
Yeah.
And everything you have, you have to reframe it to tame it. So all these little demons that we have in our head, we have to deal with. And
Yeah.
I think the biggest first demon that entrepreneurs have to deal with is you get in this field because you do something so well, so easily, that it's so easy for you that you forget how valuable it is to others. And
Yes.
we charge 10-cent prices for $1 million ideas.
Absolutely.
Until somebody can get out of that state. And with a perfect example is me with stand-up comedy. I just talk. It's easy to talk, get people laugh. It's simple. Who couldn't do that, right? And I would go into a club with like $25 in my pocket if I had a couple beers, did a set, walked out with 37. That's a great night, And I didn't realize that the same process that you use for that is exactly the same process that businesses use to sell and create and connect with new clients. I worked with a bunch of entrepreneurs over the last 3 years that are brilliant ideas. And I said, they're great at building rapport. Like, that's their words. And I said, so what's the problem? Well, nobody calls me back. Nobody answers my emails. Well, there's a big gap between a stranger and building rapport. It's called connection. And you have to, it's repeatable. It's a technique. It's treating people as if you're already friends with them. So they will treat you like one of their friends, because people buy from their friends.
That's right.
And Jeffrey Gitomer has a great quote. People buy from their friends. If their friends aren't available, they buy from their friends. So how are you going to create that aura of friendship with everybody around you? And by being too nice, it doesn't do it. Part of being successful is disqualifying as well as qualifying.
That's right. Disqualifying those that you're not meant to work with, because you're not meant to work with everybody, right?
Yeah.
But that's a good point, because emotional intelligence, which is something else that I'm really passionate about, actually helps with that whole process. Because you can pick up on, other people's emotions and other people's intentions. And the more you develop your emotional intelligence, the more your instinct is on target, right? Mm-hmm. And so it gets easier for you to spend the time on the relationships that make sense versus this, let me just try and build relationships with everybody. And then kind of, then you get the rejection more, right? Because you're reaching out to a bigger audience that you're not really narrowing down. And this goes to niching as well, right? So you're getting more rejection. But when you get that skill of emotional intelligence and you enhance it, you start to narrow it down yourself, and you start to really focus in on the people that you think are going to make the most of the relationship.
And there's so many different ways to enhance your ability to sell yourself. Niching down is one of them. But when you talk to people, I'm amazed at how few people know things about body language, for example. And on Zoom, like here as an example, I've taught myself to speak with my hands up here, because your hands are trust and your thumbs are confidence. And if you don't show them on Zoom, we're down here. So there's immediate kind of wall and distrust with people that you can pick up on in person, but in Zoom, it's like, by doing this, it's weird. It's like people start to believe you more.
Yeah.
The other thing is when you're explaining something to people, when you see gravity defying behavior. So for example, this little area right here, it's called the glabella. And if I say something that you go, that's really good. You do that. And if I say something and you stay flat, it's probably because you didn't understand me, but you're not going to mention that. So I have to go back and explain. But then if you go down a little bit, then it's okay, I'm in trouble. You know, and little things like that. We don't even know we do that stuff half the time, but it's such a I guess that's not emotional intelligence. Would that be physical intelligence?
No, that's actually reading facial expressions and body language is part of emotional intelligence.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's very cool. That's very cool.
Yeah.
We have what else did Gary say? You're correct. People undervalue their knowledge. They assume that because it comes easily to them, it does not have value to others. Absolutely 173% correct. I believe with that. Yep. We also had RH Riyadh from the Coaching Jungle is pop in and gave us a nice little thumbs up there as well. So I want to shout out to them as well. And what did I just do there? Oh, did I just change? Oh, no, I didn't. It changed my screen. I didn't change anybody else's. So forget I said that. We can edit that one out, even though this is going live. So where are you located?
I am fully located in Delaware now. I used to divide my time between North Carolina and Delaware, but this past weekend, I'm all in Delaware.
Gee, I wonder why. Anything big happened in North Carolina?
I wasn't near any of that, but it was just getting, my grandkids are up here in Delaware, and it was just getting, or grandson. I only have one so far, but I plan to have others. Going back and forth it just became difficult, and 2 offices and 2 of everything, and it was just like, yeah, I'm done with that.
Isn't Delaware where they incorporate all the businesses?
It is.
Yeah.
I actually come from a financial background, and I helped incorporate a lot of businesses.
Oh, very good. So the ideal person for you to help, if somebody's out there, they're going, I want to be a successful coach. I want to understand this emotional intelligence, but I'm not sure if Cheryl would get me. Well, who would you get?
I would get the one that is questioning it, right? The one that's questioning it and is not sure what to do, because I had that myself. When I left corporate, I wasn't sure what to do, and I dabbled in a few different things and came upon coaching, and I was like, yeah, that's exactly. I had a conversation with the director of a coaching school, and that's exactly what I said. That's it. This is what I want to do. So that is the person that is not sure, because either way, I'm going to guide you in the direction that's best, that I feel is best for you. I'll make suggestions. It's not always certification, but it might be starting your business. And either way, I can help you.
And it's so funny that, because people always give up, or something happens, and 90% of people that try and start their own business fail. And what people don't realize, I was sitting in a wealth management seminar, and the guy on stage was talking about how the average millionaire goes bankrupt 2.5 times before they get to keep their money. Yep. And I remember thinking, wow, half a time to go. And that statement that he made, and actually I researched it, it's actually 3.5 times. But that statement to me was not, I didn't feel bad about having gone through that. I felt excited that I was going in the right direction. And that's one of the days that turned my life around, and it made things go easy. The other thing too that I realized is that I'm a miserable person on my own. I have a lot of talent and a lot of things I can do. I failed twice on my own with no help, because I thought I could do it all myself. When I work for other people, thrived. When I get coached, I thrive. So nobody is successful by themselves. So the first thing I would tell you, if you're out there struggling, you're probably doing it by yourself. Yeah. So you need to hire a coach. One of my business acquaintances over the last few years, a woman named Cindy Skalicki, she posted on LinkedIn today, oh my God, I realized that since 2021, I've spent $100,000 on coaching. But her business is 5 times bigger than what it was in 2021. Yeah. So that's the result. See.
Absolutely. And you can look at at the coaches that are always struggling. Well, I don't have the money for coaching, or, I don't want to put the resources towards coaching, or I'm a coach, so I shouldn't have to hire a coach, which is the biggest lie in the world. The bottom line is it's because you don't have a coach, or you don't have somebody, a mentor, or, somebody that's helping you out. And that's the bottom line, is like, it is so difficult, especially if you're used to, I was in corporate I was 45 when I left corporate. So I was in corporate for over 25 years. And so you're used to performance is based, it's a performance-based job, right? Like you're getting paid based off your performance. You report a certain number of hours, report to a person. Everything's pretty much structured. Even if you have some flexibility, it's still structured. You don't have that in your own business, and you can be the biggest motivated person in the world. You still need help in those areas.
And Chad Betts out there says, coaches help you leapfrog pitfalls. I have several coaches for different aspects of my business, which has made all the difference. Thank you so much for chiming in on that, Chad. He's the author of the book, The Second Mouse Gets the Cheese, which I love that title. I love that title. One of the things the other way to put what you were talking about is, I've heard somebody say this. Denise Graziano was the first person I heard say it. You can't read the ingredients from inside the jar. You have to be outside the jar to see what's missing.
Yes, absolutely. I agree with that.
What do you think what's the biggest missing emotional intelligence aspect from coaches?
Well, so most coaches have a lot of empathy, or think they have a lot of empathy. I'll say that. But the missing pieces is really picking up on other people's emotions. So a lot of people think like emotional intelligence is how I deal with my emotions. Like I'm very aware of my own emotions. And so I have high emotional intelligence, but really that's a part of it. But really it's how to read other people's emotions and how to navigate their emotions without enmeshing them on your own. And that can be tough for a coach, especially a coach that might work in sensitive areas. It can be tough to do that. I have a not-for-profit called Recovery Nation. That's where I started coaching as a addiction recovery coach. And that was tough. It was tough to navigate the emotions of the actual person in recovery and their partner. It was huge. And that's actually when I went and got training on emotional intelligence, because I knew my emotions, but it was easy for me to get upset. It was easy for me to like take it home, so to speak.
Yeah.
And then that impairs your ability to pick up on somebody else's and help navigate that situation. So I think that's a big part of emotional intelligence that's missing, is that we think that, because we're empathetic, because we know our own emotions, that we're going to be successful in that area, but it's not true, because we really need to know how to navigate the client's emotions and also to keep it at arm's length.
And there's so many, because I deal a lot with people connecting, and that's kind of like my passion and my native genius. And there's so many little things that people don't realize in your head, these triggers that you subconsciously think when you meet somebody. And if a stranger walks up to you and you trip one of these 4 triggers, if they think, who are you? Why are you here? How long are you going to stay? Are you friend or foe? Then you have no chance of talking to them. If you don't trigger those 4 things, you can stay as long as the conversation is interesting. And one of the things that strangers do all the time, and we do this as professional business people, friends don't ask friends questions. They make statements. If a stranger walks up to you and says, can I ask you a question? You literally pull away and you lower your chin. You go, okay.
What is it that you want from me?
Yeah, exactly. And the reason you lower your chin is that you're protecting your throat subconsciously, because you're a little bit creeped out. So you protect that, because we're hardwired to protect that area of our body. But if somebody walked up and rephrased that slightly, I have the craziest question. What is it? Really? Tell me more. One is a question, one is a statement. And when you approach strangers and you make statements, they show confidence and they show comfort. And what do you want with somebody you're going to hire. You want confidence and you want comfort. You don't want them being in awe and in reverence of you. You want somebody who's a peer that you can trust because they're as good as you are. They do is what you do. And these are things that little triggers that stop us from being able to do business every single day and meet the people that we want to meet. So it's crazy.
I agree.
Yeah. Any last tips for people? Again, if you want to get a hold of Cheryl, you can put the comments in here. If you're looking this on YouTube or Facebook or LinkedIn later, I'll make sure she gets the questions. And last comment for you. Let me put your website up there so that people can copy that.
And I guess for our last comment, just, if you're passionate about something, explore it, see what's going on with it. Find somebody that you can talk about with it, and definitely on the niching down part, do your research there, because you'll find that you can be more successful if you are niche down.
Outstanding. Thank you so much for being our guest. This is Roadblock Removal for coaches and speakers. Thank you so much, Cheryl, for coming on and gracing us, and look forward to talking to you again.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. It was a good time.
See y'all next week, people.